the counselor session. So let's see. So you guys are the class of 25. That makes me feel very old. Seems like every year I keep saying that. But anyways, thank you guys and welcome. We only have 15 minutes. And so we were trying to figure out like what would be like some of the most important things to kind of cover. And what we want to do is we want to show you guys the graduation requirements, just so that you guys have an idea of what to expect when coming to high school and looking at the different requirements that you're going to have to do over the next 4 years to earn your diploma. We'll also have a side-by-side comparison of university requirements. And I'm not going to go into too much detail with that tonight. I think you guys will get that probably in the fall when we do our fall presentation for freshman parents. The second part of our evening is going to be on frequently asked questions. I'm going to have a couple of questions here that we're just going to go ahead and post up, and I'm going to go ahead and answer those for you guys. And then the last 5 minutes or so, we'll give you guys a chance to ask some questions. So I'm just going to bounce around to a different screen really quick. So just bear with me here. I'm going to pull up the district graduation requirements. And so this is the Campbell Union High School District website. And so when you're on this website, there's a lot of information here. But if you were to go to departments and then go to educational services, that's how I got here. Okay, just to kind of show you guys.
Entonces él va a hacer clic en donde dice requisitos de graduación.
You guys really quick here. So keep in mind that our graduation requirements last year for the class of 2020 recently changed, and our graduation requirements for the district are now in line with the requirements of the CSU system, which
Entonces estos requisitos de graduación que ven aquí en esta pantalla ya son los nuevos. Como pueden ver, aquí tenemos los diferentes sistemas de universidades.
Compare those to the Campbell Union High School District requirements right over here on the left side. Over here on the far right side, you'll see private college and then community college. But for the most part, we're going to be, again, looking at graduation requirements this evening. So in order to graduate and get a high school diploma from our district, all students have to earn 220 credits. And so each class that they take is worth 10 credits for the year. And so unlike some of our feeder middle schools where they run a trimester system, the Campbell Union High School District and Del Mar run a semester system, which means that we have two main grading periods. We have a fall semester and a spring semester. And fall semester ends in December and spring semester ends in June. And if classes are passed with a D or better, the student will receive 5 credits. So again, that's where we add the 5 and 5, and that's where we get the 10 credits that each class is worth for the year. And so when we look at the history department or history subject area, students need to pass 2 years of history, and that's going to be like world history and US history. And it's the same of what the universities require to gain entrance into those universities. When we look at English, students will take English all 4 years. And again, for the university's requirements, they need to take and pass English 4 years. For math, it's 3 years. It used to be 2 years, but again, that has changed since last year's graduating class, and that matches, again, the university requirements. When we look at lab science, students in our district have to take 3 years of science minimum. So students are going to take biological, physical, and they're going to take chemistry as well. And so they have to take and pass 30 units or 30 credits of lab science. When we look at language other than English, it used to be formerly called world language, students need to take and pass 2 years of language other than English. We do have validation rules. I won't get into detail regarding that. We'll teach you about that in the fall when you guys come back. Visual and Performing Arts, otherwise known as VAPA, every student has to take 1 year of this. And again, it lines up with the university requirements. And then Area G, which is a college prep elective, every student has to take 1 college prep elective class, which usually can come from any area, such as math, science, social science, or other elective areas as well. And kind of going down here, down the line, let me zoom in here a little bit more. So every student has to take and pass government and economics, a semester of each. as well as 2 years of PE. We also have a program on our campus called ROTC, or Military Science, and that can also be used to fulfill the PE requirements. And then next up, we have a CTE, or Career Technical Education requirement. So students can fulfill that by either taking a CTE class, or they can take a second visual and performing art class before they graduate. There are some other rules too regarding specialized areas. For instance, if a student takes the AVID program all 4 years, they don't have to take the second year of CTE. So, and there are some other programs too, but I won't go into detail regarding those. Regarding general electives, so students from the class of 2021 and beyond need to take 30 units or 30 credits of electives, and again, 220 credits total for a diploma from our district. So hang on one second. Let me go back now to, oh, wrong one. Okay, right here. So, okay. So we've already looked at our graduation requirements here. So next, frequently asked questions. So question number 1. So what do we do if we do not receive our student ID number in our email? So if you don't receive your email from the Campbell Union High School District with your student's ID number to log into Aries, then I would definitely recommend that you check your spam folder. Sometimes, messages get put in there. And if you don't see it there, then I would definitely contact our district tech line, and that's 558-3080. What can we do if we have problems logging into Aries? So if you have problems logging into Aries, again, you also want to call the district tech line. And so this line is manned usually Monday through Friday from the hours of about 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Next question, how do we change a class that my student signed up for? So this sometimes happens. Sometimes students change their mind for whatever reason, or maybe something's going on in a class that they're taking where they maybe don't think they're going to be quite prepared for a class once they get to Del Mar. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you contact your student's counselor. Keep in mind that April 2nd is the deadline to make changes to any classes for next year. However, in certain circumstances, we do allow for changes. Next question, when will we receive our students' course selections? So Del Mar will mail home a confirmation of your selected courses this spring. So we usually mail that home usually like towards the end of March, and it's usually before the April 2nd deadline. Next question, how do we get in touch with our students' counselor? So counselors split up students by last name. And so again, this is the breakdown. And you can either take a picture of this here tonight, or you can just look on our school website, and we do have this listed there as well. What if my student has an IEP? This is a good question. So articulation meetings between Del Mar and middle schools will begin in February and will run through May in some cases. So at some point this spring, your middle school will be working with our high school to get your students' schedule and classes selected, as well as working with you. So what happens if I move between now and when school starts? So if you end up moving, just keep in mind that your students' name and information is in our database. So you want to make sure that you call our office, and our number 626-3403, so that we can check your new address to see if it's still in our attendance boundary, and then possibly just update your address in our database. So we've seen over the last couple of months, there's been a lot of students moving apartments. And so sometimes that's the case, and they just have a different apartment number, and they're usually still in our boundary. When will we receive our final class schedule for next year? That's another good question. So students will receive their class schedules during registration in August. So normally registration takes place in person. However, this year, given that we're on distance learning and we're still unsure about whether or not we're going to be back in person for next fall, we'll be notifying you guys in July with our mailing from the principal. And usually in that letter, he'll give you guys more details regarding how school's going to start and with all the key dates. Okay, so next up, I'd just like to open it up to you guys. If you guys have any questions go ahead and ask. And again, I don't know if some of you might be typing in a question or whatnot, but that you can definitely type in a question. Just don't forget to visit our school website. We have a lot of information here on our website. We actually get a lot of compliments from a lot of people in the community about our school website. So we put a lot of work into it. And so we do have a lot of information there. And so just make sure that you're using that to reach out to us again, either by calling the school or just emailing your student's counselor if you have questions.
So one question that we have in the Q&A is about how students join our leadership program. And so during the programming process that we talked about with the middle school, students will have the opportunity to learn more about the program, and they can select it as their as their elective choice. For freshman year, there is an application and interview to get into the program that Ms. Shembri will send out and coordinate with all of the students once they've signed up to take the course. And they usually do a summer event when it's safe to do so. So they can all get to know each other, talk about the time commitment, and prepare for the upcoming school year. So if your student is interested in joining leadership, they can sign up during their programming process at their middle school, and then they'll have the opportunity to complete the application and the interview. And then there's a question about students that have struggled in middle school. I'm sure, especially with distance learning, that's certainly been challenging, and how to get support services. One thing that we have really worked hard, especially in the distance learning format, is to have office hours for our teachers and a homework center. So every teacher on our campus holds office hours right now virtually 3 times per week. And they're also available by appointment for their students. And so these are open times where students can come in to ask questions from their teachers to get that extra one-on-one help. We also have a homework center that runs weekly, and this is staffed by different teachers. So a student can come to the homework center every week, and whatever subject area they need help in, they have breakout rooms where a subject area teacher is there, and they will assist any student, whether they have them in class or not. We also have within our math department for students, especially if they have struggled with math in middle school, we have the option for them to do a daily math program. And so the way that this works is they have their instruction in their Integrated Math 1 course, followed by a math workshop course where it's really about reinforcing the concepts, getting that one-on-one help, practicing problems, working on homework. And so that's something that they can start with in their freshman year, especially to really build those math skills to help them in the next couple of years as they move through their classes. We have a question about a student who is not at a district middle school. So if it's not like within Monroe or Luther Burbank or one of our feeder middle schools, I would suggest that you call our office to check in about making an appointment. If sometimes students will come from charter schools or private schools, but they're in our attendance area. And so if you would not be on like our programming visits that we're doing, you can call our office to set up a time to meet with your student's counselor.
And Ms. Geis, regarding the question or regarding the teacher office hours that you mentioned, so I just showed the parents, like when they log into or when they pull up our Del Mar website, you know, if you go over here to the right, the contact us and connect, and then just scroll over to the left, we have our virtual teacher office hours here. So, you know, we have a lot of information here, and again, you know, this shows like every single one of our teachers has office hours, and it's just a matter of students accessing this. And so, the links to access this are usually loaded within their Google Classroom.
So we have about 1 minute left before we transition to the next session. So thank you all very much for coming. We cannot wait to meet your students. We look forward to having them. We know that kind of the transition to high school is a tough one in general, and especially since we've been in distance learning for such a long time. We're excited to have your students join us. We have tons of support available. Our teachers are ready to meet your students. So thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you, guys. All right, that was a small group, right?
Yes, we've got a couple,
Couple of more coming on.
a couple for
Okay.
the next one.
All right, let me
Performing arts had like 39 the first session.
Hi, everybody. Welcome in for session 2. Thanks for being here. We'll get started in a couple minutes.
does this one start at what, 7:25?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Mr. Gonzalez, would you be able to make an announcement about the Spanish interpretation? Ms. Baez is in the interpretation room. I don't know what to call it.
Bueno, para los que quieran que esta presentación en español, pueden agarrar la punta ahí, el círculo donde dice interpretation, pongan español y pongan mute the original para que agarren toda esta presentación en español. So, toquen ahí el interpretación, escojan español, luego la punchan al mute original audio. Gracias.
Okay, looks like it's 7:25. It's starting time. So good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us here with the counselor session. My name is Richard Mendoza, and I will be hosting our counseling session for the next 15 minutes. And Miss Baez. If you speak Spanish, Miss Baez has a Spanish room, translation room. I think there's a button near the bottom that Mr. Gonzalez mentioned you could press to get into that room. And Ms. Geis is kind of in the background, and she'll be taking our question or taking your questions towards the end of this presentation. But anyway, since we only have 15 minutes, what we wanted to do is just quickly review the graduation requirements for Del Mar and the Campbell Union High School District. And then we also have a couple of frequently asked questions that we want to go over with everybody. And then last but not least, give you guys a chance to ask some questions that you guys may have of us or of Del Mar. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do is go to the district website. So right here, I'm going to kind of show you guys here. So if you go to the Campbell Union High School District, here you see Dr. Bravo along with the board
Mr.
members
Mendoza?
here.
I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
excuse me?
to interrupt you. Will you share your screen real quick?
Oh, sorry.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hang on. I'm not. Uh-oh. Sorry about that. Here we go. Okay, so now we're going to go to the Campbell Union High School District graduation requirements. And so what I wanted to do is just kind of show you guys kind of how to find this. So sorry, I'm just trying to move this out of our way here. So when you go pull up the Campbell Union High School District website, if you just scroll over here to the right where you see departments, go ahead and click that and then come down to educational services. And you're going to come down over here and you're going to click curriculum and instruction. Okay, so curriculum and instruction is here. Also on this page, there's a course catalog. This is a course catalog for the district though. So just keep in mind, if you do end up looking at that, you do have to pay attention to the schools that those specific classes are offered at, because Del Mar may offer some classes that other schools don't and vice versa. So let's see here. This is Miss Emily Hansen. She's a director of curriculum. She's a former Del Mar teacher as well. So if you click over here, graduation requirements, and here we go. And then you come over here to the left. Now you can pull up the district graduation requirements here. And so I'm just going to kind of zoom in here. So just to give you a brief overview, over here on the left side, these are the different subject areas. And then right here next to it, you have our district graduation requirements. And then I don't know if you're aware, but in the last year in 2020, 2020 was the first class in our district's history where they had to meet the new district graduation requirements that were actually in line with the CSU and the UC entrance requirements. Okay, so that's why you see those here. And so for tonight, though, I'm going to kind of more or less just kind of pay attention here to the district graduation requirements. And so, but you'll see that they match up over here. So basically, you know, our district adopted these requirements because they wanted to give every student a chance that if you come to a school within our district, if you can maintain A's, B's, and C's, you're going to meet the A through G requirements and give yourself a chance to get in possibly to a university after high school. So when we look at history, all students must take 2 years of history, and they're going to take world history and US history. Over here on the next one down, we have 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 3 years of science. So from the class of 2021, you have to take 3 years of science. So again, that's going to be like physics, chemistry, and biology. Looking at language other than English, students must take 2 years at minimum. Visual and performing arts, 1 year. A college prep elective, 1 year. A semester of government, a semester of economics, and 2 years of PE or ROTC or military science. And then we have a new requirement also. It's called Career Technical Ed or Career Tech Ed, otherwise known as CTE. And so students can actually have a choice between taking a CTE class or taking a VAPA, which is a visual and performing arts class. So some of our students may want to do 2 visual performing arts classes, and that's fine. They wouldn't have to do the CTE class. So, or you could do a specialized content area. And so just to give you an example, a program like our AVID program, it's a 4-year program. If a student is on that pathway, then that student would not have to take one of these classes. And then for general electives, students must take and pass 30 credits of general electives, and also, again, reach 220 credits by the end of their senior year for the diploma. And so, again, looking back up here, you're going to notice that our Del Mar graduation requirements are in line with university requirements here. Now, obviously, if your goal is to get into a university, you want to be as competitive as possible. And so you want to go above and beyond if you can in certain areas to make so that you're competitive when you apply. Because as you know, it's getting harder and harder for students to get into universities these days. We do if we have problems with logging into Aries. You want to, again, make sure that you contact our tech hotline. And our tech hotline is usually staffed with someone between the hours of about 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. How do we change a class that my student signed up for? This is a good question. So sometimes this happens for whatever reason, the student has a change of mind. And so what you want to do is please contact your student's counselor. April 2nd is the deadline to make changes to any classes for next year. However, in certain circumstances, we do allow for changes. When will we receive our students' course selections? So Del Mar will mail home a confirmation of your selected courses this spring. So in most cases, it'll be before that April 2nd deadline. How do we get in touch with our students' counselor? So again, counselors divide the students up by last name. And so you have our email addresses here for you. And then you can also look on our school website, and we have them, our contact information there as well. What if my student has an IEP? So just keep in mind, if your student has an IEP, articulation meetings between Del Mar and middle schools will begin in February and will run through May in some cases. What happens if I move between now and when school starts? So please contact Del Mar's office by calling our school at 626-3403 so that we can check your new address to see if it's still in our attendance boundary and possibly update your address in our database. When will we receive our final schedule for next year? So students receive their class schedules during registration in August. So keep in mind, Mr. Lopez and the school will be mailing home a letter to you sometime in July, and it'll have specific instructions and dates regarding registration. And then also at that time, of course, whether or not we'll be returning back for in-person classes as well. All right, so now at this time, what we want to do is just kind of open the floor up to you. I know some of you guys may have some questions, and feel free to go ahead and use that chat box that you have there. And Ms. Geis will read those questions aloud for us.
So there's one that we have about math courses. So there's a student who is taking Math 8 CAP in middle school. It's a Monroe course. And so they're asking if there will be summer bridge courses this year so they can take more advanced math. Currently, our district is exploring the ways that summer school can kind of be restructured to best meet the needs of each of our schools in the district. In the past, Del Mar has offered a summer math booster to accelerate into IM2 and a summer enrichment program for math to support students who are entering into IM1. We're still working on finalizing those specific plans, but we will notify families as soon as we have our more concrete plans for the summer. And then there's a question about if a parent's child has a 504 currently. So we get 504 information from our feeder middle schools for students who are coming to us as part of their CUME files that get sent to us, so that counselors can distribute the 504s to all of their students' teachers so that they are in place at the start of the school year. We have another one about languages that we offer. So at Del Mar, we offer Spanish for Spanish speakers, for students who are native Spanish speakers, and a French program. So we do, the question is specifically if whether or not we offer Chinese, which we do not at our site. We have Spanish for Spanish speakers, and French. And it looks like those are all the questions that we have so far. So please feel free to add them to the Q&A so that we can answer them for you. But we're very excited to meet your students. We look forward to having them as students eventually on our campus as soon as we can. But we'll be meeting with them hopefully soon this spring as part of our programming process.
Yeah, and also just I want to remind parents, don't forget to visit our school website. I have it listed here for you, but we have a lot of information on there that you can, kind of scroll through and check out before starting high school. And so, again, we understand these are really difficult times, but we're looking forward to being on campus when we're given the green light to. And so, we can't, again, like Ms. Guy said, we can't wait to meet your students and start working with them and actually being able to see them like face to face.
We have another question about can students still receive PE credit for marching band? At this time, the sports PE and marching band PE have been suspended since we're not able to host sports and marching band at this time. So for the district, it's been suspended at this time. But if we are able to bring it back across the district, then we will let families know. And then another question about PE, kind of how the course is structured through the year. So in freshman PE, students will cycle through a series of sports throughout the year. So they'll do different units, whether that's tennis, or they're doing bowling, or they're in the pool swimming. And they also have the health component that's built into the course. So it's a part of the PE program. So that's for the full freshman year that students take 9th grade PE. And then they have one more year to go in their sophomore year of PE to finish out the requirement. So we've got about 2 minutes left in this session before the third one of this evening. So if there are other questions, please feel free to add them into the Q&A feature now. Otherwise, we've got another couple minutes before you can head to your last session of the evening. Hi, everybody. Welcome in to the last session of the evening tonight. We'll get started at about 7:45. So come on in, get comfy, and we'll start in a couple minutes. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the last session tonight. We'll get started in just another couple of minutes. Mr. Gonzalez, if you can do one last announcement for the translation services, we'll be just about ready to start.
Bueno, por los que necesitan esta presentación en español, pueden ir a donde dice interpretación, ahí pongan su cursor y pongan en español y pueden poner mute en inglés. So pueden escuchar esto en español. Gracias.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I think everybody's probably here. I know usually when we're on campus, we have to kind of wait for parents to get to our different buildings or different classrooms that we're in. But I think tonight's a pretty easy move into our sessions. But anyways, my name's Richard Mendoza, and I'm one of the guidance counselors here at Del Mar. And so welcome to our counselor session tonight. So this is the last one of the evening. But what we want to do is share some information with you guys regarding our graduation requirements, and also looking at some frequently asked questions, as well as opening up the floor for you guys to ask some questions that you may have of us. And so let's go ahead and get started here. Okay, so right now what we're going to do is move over to the district's graduation requirements. So I'm actually going to show you guys how to find these on our district's webpage. So excuse me one second as I move this out of my way here, and we're going to go here. I'll move this back up. Okay, so when you're on our district website here, you're going to go to departments right here. And then you're going to scroll down to educational services. And you can actually find a lot of information here within this section of our website. So from here, you can hit curriculum and instruction. And so here we have Miss Emily Hansen. She's the director of curriculum and instruction and a former Del Mar teacher as well. And then you can go over here to graduation requirements. I just want to actually point this out. So if you're on this page, you can see the course catalog for the district. And so this will show you all of the classes that are offered district-wide and actually at Del Mar. And so you just have to be careful though, when you're scrolling through this, that you look at which specific site or school that these courses are offered at, because not every high school offers the same classes. So anyways, you're going to come over here to the right side to the drop-down menu, and you're going to pull up the graduation requirements here. And right over here, they're on the left side, there's a PDF here. And what I want to do is kind of bring to your attention. So on the left side, you're going to see the subject area. The second column, you'll see the Campbell graduation requirements here. And this is the same for all high schools. You're going to notice that your student has to take and pass 220 credits or units over the next 4 years in order to receive a diploma. And just last year, our district moved, or actually increased, the graduation requirements so that they would match those of the CSU or California State University system, as well as those of the university or the UC system or the University of California system. So what the purpose of that was our district wanted to make sure that all students who come onto our campuses and when they receive a high school diploma, that they're actually, if they maintain grades of A's, B's, or C's, that they're actually going to be eligible to apply to a university upon graduation. So anyway, so let's review these. So here, the first subject area is history. You're going to notice that your student has to take and pass 2 years of history. They're also going to have to take and pass 4 years of English, 3 years of math. For lab science, they actually have to do 3 years. So the class of 2021, this year's seniors have to take and pass 30 credits worth of science. And then language other than English, let me kind of zoom in here a little bit more. Language other than English, 2 years. And so again, that's going to be any of our Spanish or native speaker Spanish classes or French classes. Visual and performing arts, 1 year. And then college prep elective, 1 year, as well as a semester of government and a semester of economics. In the past, these classes were senior level classes. However, starting next year, these 2 classes, government and economics, are actually going to be sophomore year classes. And so they're kind of, the social science department on our campus is switching that with world history. So world history is being moved from sophomore year to the senior year, and government economics will be in 10th grade. Also, students will take PE or military science. They could do either or. Our ROTC program, when students take that for 2 years, they also get the PE credit as well. And then moving down, the CTE or career tech ed, students have to take that either 1 year or they can take a second visual and performing art class, which is our VAPA classes. And then once in a while, we do have some students who may be in a specialized program, such as leadership or AVID or ROTC. And those students, if they do all 4 years, they also will get this CTE class waived as well. General electives, all students must take and pass 30 credits or 30 units worth of electives. And again, that'll bring them to the 220 credits. And so I'm not going to go into too much detail over here, but again, Del Mar sends the majority of our students who do go to college. Actually, the majority of our students who do go to college end up matriculating to community college. And then when it comes to 4-year universities, say the second largest group is going to be we send students off to the CSUs and then the UCs. Let's see. So let's get back in here to our presentation. And so hang on one second, I'm trying to move forward. Okay, so now to our frequently asked questions. So what do we do if we do not receive our student's ID number in our email? So if you don't receive your student's ID number, again, that ID number is key to log into Aries, and Aries is where your student will be selecting their courses for next year. Just make sure you check your spam folder to make sure it's not stuck in there, as sometimes that happens. If it's not there, then go ahead and contact our tech hotline, and the numbers here are listed for you. Next question, what can we do if we have problems with logging into Aries? Again, you want to reach out to our tech hotline, 558-3080. And again, someone's usually manning this phone Monday through Friday from about 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Next question, how do we change a class that my student signed up for? So if your student has a change of heart for some reason, normally we're pretty strict when it comes to changing classes, but we are in a pandemic, and so we are trying to be a lot more lenient these days. Please contact your student's counselor. Just keep in mind April 2nd is the current deadline to make changes to any classes for next year. However, in certain circumstances, we will allow for changes. Next question, when will we receive our students' course selections? So Del Mar will mail home a confirmation of your selected courses this spring. Next question, how do we get in touch with our students' counselor? So counselors split students up by last name. And so here you see the breakdown again that we went over the first part of the welcome tonight. And this is also located in our school website as well. What if my student has an IEP? So keep in mind articulation meetings between Del Mar and middle schools will begin in February and will run through May in some cases. What happens if I move between now and when school starts? So what you want to do is you just want to contact Del Mar's office so that we can check your new address to see if it's still in our attendance boundary and possibly update your address in our database. And the last question, when will we receive our final class schedule for next year? So students will receive their class schedules during registration in August. So normally when we're on campus and we have students on campus for learning, students usually are divided up by grade level, and we have registration dates and times for students to come pick up their schedules and take their pictures for the yearbooks and just kind of, pick up their Chromebook, possibly if they're a freshman, to kind of get ready for the school year. However, this past year with distance learning being in place, we actually just released schedules online through Aries. And so just depending on, what happens during these uncertain times, you'll be receiving a letter in July from Principal Lopez, and he'll be mailing home details regarding the start of the school year with key dates. All right, so now at this time, what we want to do is just open up the floor for you guys. If you guys have any questions, I think there's a little chat box there that you can go ahead and type in, and Ms. Geis will bring those up.
So we have one question about the programming process, about if students are going to select their courses before they meet with a counselor, and if the middle school is going to be able to help them with selecting first. So our subject areas our departments have put together informational videos for students. And so they will be watching those videos through their middle school in their tutorial or advisory period. There'll be some from the different departments, electives that we offer, core courses. The counseling department has also made our own videos as well. And so they'll be able to view all of those with information about what we offer to help them make their decisions. And then the middle school staff will be able to assist them during that time with logging into their Aries portal to select the courses that they'd like to choose. Then we definitely encourage students to review these choices with their families at home, parents and guardians, to review the options and make any changes that they need to. And then students will meet with their counselor virtually to finalize their course selections. So they'll definitely have opportunities to ask questions if they have them, make changes if they need to during the process.
Yeah, another thing I'd like to add to that, Ms. Geis, is just keep in mind if you guys have any kind of issues putting in the classes. I mean, sometimes, I've had our current freshmen, they set up appointments to meet with us virtually, and every once in a while, some of them didn't have any classes loaded, and that was perfectly fine. You guys will actually have classes loaded because we're going to preload some of your classes. But when we meet with students, we make sure that we get them loaded into, the right classes. And we'll also be looking at their student transcript from the middle school to kind of see like, where they're at in terms of their learning and maybe possible supports some of them may need.
We have a couple, excuse me, a couple other questions coming in. One question about whether ASL is offered as a language at Del Mar. We offer Spanish for Spanish speakers, and French through Del Mar High School. But we do have a number of students who take American Sign Language at our local community colleges that offer it as part of their concurrent enrollment program to be able to fulfill their language requirement, both for high school graduation and for college. We also partner with West Valley College to do a dual enrollment program, which is specific just to CUHSD students. And we've cycled American Sign Language through our other high schools in our district. And so we're looking to expand that as well so that students from all high schools have the opportunity to take it. So we don't have it at our site, but there are chances to take it through other means. There's another question about if a student wants to be part of the IB program, do they need to commit to that going into freshman year? And the great answer to that is no. They do not have to commit to that in the freshman year. The IB program doesn't start until the junior year of high school. So we do recommend if students are thinking about it, if it's maybe something that they're considering doing, reaching out to Jessica Alamet, the IB coordinator. She meets with students and families to develop a 4-year plan of what it would look like if they chose to do the diploma. Just so students can kind of see how it maps out, what their options are, what courses they might like to take, and then they don't have to actually commit to the program until the spring of their sophomore year before they start as a junior. And then there's another question about if a student has an IEP, will the articulation meetings that are happening throughout the spring, will that affect their class choice? So we work really closely with our case managers at Del Mar to make any updates that are needed based on the IEP articulation meetings that are happening in the spring. So we definitely would love our students to view all the videos that are available, to see what we have to offer, choose the classes that they're interested in, and then they'll get the chance to meet with their counselor, but we'll finalize everything through the case managers and the articulation meetings to make sure we have everything correct. There's a question about how will we know what level of classes students should take? The great thing, especially about coming in as a freshman, is that most freshmen take a very typical schedule of similar classes. And so you'll be able to see when your child selects classes that we've actually preloaded the core academic classes that all students take. And so the choices that they'll be making as freshmen will be what language they're taking and what elective they're taking. As they move through high school, we do have opportunities for students to take more advanced coursework. And so we encourage students, if they're getting C's or better in their classes, as really the best preparation to go into some of our more advanced classes, but they certainly have time as a freshman to kind of start with their freshman year courses, get the transition to high school down before they move into those advanced classes.
Yeah, and one other thing I'd like to add too, so over the last couple of years, our curriculum in a lot of our lower level, like freshman, sophomore classes across a few departments have kind of been kind of merging, if you will. And so, for instance, coming up next year, our school is actually doing away with English ICAP, and we're just going to be offering English to all freshmen. And that change was made by our English department due to the fact that the curriculum was pretty much identical. And so they got rid of the English ICAP. And so again, that's not going to hurt students like who are looking to move on and, to college and be competitive. Colleges will definitely not mark students down if a certain course was not offered when they're evaluating their transcripts. And so just keep that in mind. And so we had this happen in our science department a few years back with physics, where we used to offer a physics honors class, and the department did away with that. And so now all students take physics. And so it's kind of moving in that direction. But obviously, you know, if you're looking to take the IB classes, those will be coming up your junior year, as Ms. Guy said.
Another question, how to make contact with counselors if you're not currently attending a Campbell Middle School. You can always call our student services office to arrange an appointment to enroll your student if maybe they're attending a charter school in the area or a private school in the area, but they live in our attendance section. You can just call Del Mar High School to arrange a meeting with the counselor to enroll. These are great questions. These are all the ones that we have for now. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming tonight. We can't wait to meet your students, definitely in person as well. But we look forward to talking with them this spring about their classes and welcoming them to Del Mar next year. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good evening.